So just how bad did the Democrats do? Well, I just want to show you. This is for the House and Senate. This is how bad they did.
Holy shit.
That's how bad they lost seats in the House. They did not take over the Senate. Another killer showing by the Democrats, by the way. This is how good the Democrats do against a party that has run literal neo-Nazis. That's how good they do. That's how good they do. So much winning for Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. So much winning. Here's Ralph Nader. He says, other than Biden defeating Trump, the Democrats had a bad election against the GOP. They lost 5 seats in the House, failed to take the Senate,
God,
and did not flip one state legislature. Against the most corrupt, bungling, incompetent, lying president, the well-funded Democratic Party failed the country. And I'm Ralph Nader. And so somehow people are going to find a way to blame me for this. Think about that. Running against the most corrupt, bungling, incompetent, lying president. Well, they still, first of all, he's not the most bungling, incompetent, or lying president. In my lifetime, George Bush outdid him.
how many wars did Donald Trump get us into?
It doesn't appear to be any. Not that he didn't try. Maybe that's what you mean. He was so bungling he couldn't even start an illegal war or two, like Barack Obama and George Bush did. Remember what Nancy Pelosi said, right? She says, "I don't think Democrats want a new direction." That's what she said after they lost to Trump the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what she's saying now. She said, "We have a mandate," Pelosi says before getting off the call. So she was on her call with their call. That's what she said. "We have a mandate," before she got off her call and went right to her ice cream freezer. This Ryan Grimm tweeted out, the Democratic super PAC in charge of House races is going to face serious questions about how it lost seats when projected to pick them up. The House Majority PAC's president is Robbie Mook. Oh, good. He's in charge. I mean, the guy who was in charge of Hillary losing to Trump the first time.
Oh, put him in charge.
Put him in charge.
Keep him in charge.
Put him in charge. Hey, if we could run a walking demented death rattle as president and win, why can't we have the biggest loser in all of politics run our congressional campaign? The biggest loser in all of politics is Robbie Mook. Part of the most biggest failure in the history of politics. The most well-moneyed, powerful Democratic political campaign in the history of the world lost to a game show host. That was this guy's doing. Jesus Christ.
And they kept him employed.
He said, we saw we had a weakness as a campaign. Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager talks hacking 2020 and Wow, the weakness was all of us, he said in a brief moment of self-awareness. Nah, just kidding. We saw we had a weakness as a campaign. Would that weakness be your campaign? Every Obama White House staffer turned consultant. We need to take a hard look at the results, figure out exactly what happened, and do some serious soul searching on how I could keep getting paid after this. Democratic leaders warn liberal rhetoric could blow Georgia races. That's it. Again, do not tell people that the government can help them. If you do that, that is liberal rhetoric. The subtitle is, if we are going to run on Medicare for all, defund the police, and socialize medicine, we're not going to win, says Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn, who is a completely corrupted piece of it. Jim Clyburn is not your friend. He's your enemy. Jim Clyburn is full of shit. He's got 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. That's what Jim Clyburn is. And you know how I know Jim Clyburn says you can't give people Medicare for all. 72% of Fox News people say they want it. You can't socialize medicine. Hey, Clyburn has taken more than $1 million in pharma money in a decade, far surpassing his peers. I wonder that if that's why Jim Clyburn is a complete, corrupted, lying, gaslighting, full of shit enemy of the people he represents. He actually doesn't represent them. He represents these people. So he's not an enemy of the big pharma, but he's a big enemy of yours. Jim Clyburn is. Jim Clyburn's a fucking piece of shit. That's who Jim Clyburn is. He's your fucking enemy. Just like the Democratic Party. There it is. Fox News poll, Jim. 72% of people want Medicare for all. Your socialized medicine. That Fox News poll, Jim. You bought out, corrupted, garbage politician. You're a garbage person, Jim Clyburn. You're going to sit there and use... You're gonna use your position and your gravitas, and you're gonna use that for evil, Jim, instead of to help people. You're gonna use it for evil. That's what Jim Clyburn uses all his political capital for, not to help you. He uses his political capital to keep you away from health care. We almost lost the presidency. We definitely lost the Senate, and we lost a bunch of House seats. Yeah, let's keep it up. Jim Clyburn, his big idea is to keep doing shit that lost them bunch of House seats, still don't have the Senate, and almost lost to Donald Trump twice. Wow. The police stuff did not help at all. That's what James Carville said. The police stuff. You know, when people were demanding accountability for the police stuff. That's what James Carville calls it, the police stuff. James Carville is like if a Whiskey Dicks commercial came to life and had shitty political opinions. That's what James Carville's like. James Carville says the police stuff did not help at all. Guess what? Here's James Carville, the Democratic operative who orchestrated this photo op, says the police stuff did not help Democrats. This is him. This is the kind of... Wow. James Carville used to be the worst thing that had happened to Louisiana until Katrina. But hey, second place ain't bad, which is also what he says to his wife most of the time. Come on. James Carville is like a NASCAR race, just a bunch of going around in circles topped with a southern accent. James Carville worked really hard for Doug Jones. Did you know that, Doug Jones? So, yeah, if your opponent is a pedophile, he may be able to help you eke out a victory. If James Carville had to start a career today, he'd have a podcast nobody listened to and hopefully a group of friends planning a life intervention. James Carville, I have more James Carville jokes. James Carville has the same political insight as Lynyrd Skynyrd's song. He does. He has the same political insight as a Lynyrd Skynyrd song, but at least Lynyrd Skynyrd admits that they have no business talking politics, and are actually good at music. James Carville, one more. James Carville is proof that if you make ridiculous similes but say it with enough confidence, you can have a career. This election's like an angry hornet's nest on the 4th of July parade, and I'm holding the marmalade. That makes zero sense, but if James Carville says it, it'll guarantee him a booking on Bill Maher's show next week. DCCC chairwoman Sherry Bustos on a private call to the House Democrats said, I also want to say the thing we're all feeling. I'm furious. Something went wrong here across the entire political world.
Jeez.
Something went wrong? How about what are we doing wrong?
No kidding.
Something went wrong. Something went wrong. Walter Bragman says, in 2016, Dems run a centrist, get crushed down ballot. Democrats say nothing else would have worked. In 2020, the Democrats run a centrist, get crushed down ballot, but eke out a presidential victory because the president mismanaged a pandemic, leaves 233 Americans dead. Democrats say nothing else would have worked. It's the exact same thing. They're doing the exact same thing. Hey, here's a Hannah Trudeau. New knives are out after the Dem strategy fizzles in House races. The unexpected loss of the moderate members have left some Democrats wondering if a second stimulus, even one less than Speaker Pelosi demanded, would have made a difference. House Dems can and certainly will blame Pelosi for stringing along those stimulus negotiations and never reaching a deal, but most of the caucus was with her. Basically, nobody other than Ro Khanna spoke out. That is true. Ro Khanna reached out. He wanted to come on the show. Whatever happened to that? Do you know? Whatever happened to that? He sent us a thing. Said, hey, I got some stuff to say. And by the way, if you get rid of Nancy Pelosi, here's Democrats mull replacing Nancy Pelosi with Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, that would be good, right? Because you get rid of the old guard, somebody nice, young, progressive, right? I think he's the leader of the Progressive Caucus.
Chairman of the Democratic Caucus.
He's the chairman of the Democratic Caucus. And so they want to make him replace Nancy with him. That's a good idea, right? Because get rid of that corporatist. Nancy Pelosi's power comes from she takes all the money, right? The reason why Nancy Pelosi's powerful, if you don't know, why did the Democrats vote for her even though they know she's box office poison? The reason why she gets voted by her other Congress Democrats to be the speaker is because she gets more money from Wall Street and corporations. They give her money, and then she takes that money and gives it to other people running for Congress, and then they owe her a favor. And they also want her to keep giving them money so they could keep running for Congress every 2 years. So they vote for her because she gets the most money. So that's how he becomes a leader, too. Why? Do you think he's just like that? Well, I don't know. Let's look. Hakeem Jeffries, donor profile. He's taken almost $500,000 from communication and electronic PACs. $312,000 from securities and investments. $300,000 from finance, insurance, real estate PACs. $100,000 from pro-Israel, lawyer, lobbyist PACs, insurance, telecoms, lobbyists, and general. This guy's all meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Hakeem Jeffries is another one of the fake progressives who are also in the new Democrat caucus, which is distinctly anti-progressive. Why does the Progressive Caucus allow that? So I think he's in the Progressive Caucus, and he's also the leader of the new Democrat. See if he's in the Progressive Caucus.
Okay.
Because I think that's what this person means. Why does the Progressive Caucus allow that? I think that's what he means by that. Democrats ran in the 2018 midterms on bringing down prescription drug prices. It was narrow, but it was clear, and it was something about people's lives. And then they won the House and didn't really do anything about prescription drug prices. And then they lost 5 seats. Biden lost in places where legalizing cannabis, raising the minimum wage, etc. initiatives won, abandoning them ostensibly in order to chase suburban Republicans who didn't vote for him anyway. A decision that will continue to be treated as a sign of pragmatism and maturity. So where Biden lost is where progressive policies would have won for him. He won no Republicans. Trump got more Republican votes this time than last time. And there are people, I saw pundits on Twitter today pretending that this was a good strategy. But this is, again, if this is your establishment point of view, this is your fastball down the middle of people who don't think for themselves. and who are apologists for the establishment. That's how they think.
Our producer says Hakeem is a member of the Progressive Caucus, while also in the anti-progressive New Democratic Caucus. I have that he's the chairman of the Democratic Caucus, according to Jeffries.HouseGov, and he's House Judiciary Committee and Budget Committee. And in the Judiciary Committee, he's in 2 subcommittees that deal with on courts, intellectual property, and the internet, and another subcommittee of crime, terrorism, and homeland security.
Hey, perhaps the Democrats' plan of promising to do absolutely effing nothing was not as wise as they believed. FYI, Pelosi formally seeks another 2 years as Speaker. Corruption as far as the eye can see, and it ain't changing. Hey, the Democrats just got Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. We have expanded the squad so that now we have more progressives who will do exactly as Nancy Pelosi tells them. If you think AOC has the balls to call out Nancy Pelosi, you are a chump of the highest order. She ain't doing it. She already voted for the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the human race because Nancy Pelosi told her to. So did Bernie Sanders, because Chuck Schumer told him to, and Bernie Sanders is a weak lemming. Bernie Sanders kneecapped the progressive fucking movement. People are still out there congratulating him. He kneecapped it. If he wouldn't have ran as a goddamn Democrat and ran such a feckless campaign, we could have maybe started a third party 5 fucking years ago. But he stopped that from happening. People still out there congratulating Bernie Sanders for what he did. Wow. And you know they're wrong. And that's why you watch this show and not theirs. You can go over there. You can go hear how Russiagate's real. Go hear how Syria, we have to go in Syria, how Venezuela, it's iffy. We don't know. Go watch those shows. Go watch those shows tell you Julian Assange is siding with Trump. Go watch those shows. Go ahead. You don't because if that's the kind of stuff you like, you don't deserve to listen to a better show. If you're okay with that garbage. People on the left calling themselves lefties while pushing Russiagate. McCarthy smearing their political opponents. That's not a lefty move. And you're not a lefty. I hate to be the one to break it to you. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.